What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Lumsden Motorsports Garage. I'm Wade Lumsden, and today we're gonna work on the modified as much as we can, but give you a little bit of a weather update. Obviously, it has snowed. I am down in the valley area. I-80 would be the highway that we need to be able to go over, that we need to drive over to get up over the mountains and over to Stockton. And currently I-80 is closed. I-80's basically been closed for I guess going on to 3 days now. So yeah, we'll see what the weather is going to be like, and how that's going to affect possibly going racing on New Year's Day or shortly thereafter. We'll see, but the goal is still to go race Stockton. But to do that, we got to get a race car ready. And you can see that the table that we borrowed with the brake on it is covered in snow, and so we got to unbury things and do with all that madness. So yeah, here we go. Let's get to work. Okay, I had to shovel my driveway and all that. Happy stuff. But now we're inside here. As you can see, found me another used heater, the exact same one that I had. So now I got a heater in the garage. Gonna get to work here. I was just doing a little bit of measurement for body stuff. As you can see, I got a piece of black over here. What I was looking at doing was replacing top deck, and because this stuff is not in that great a shape. Of course, it doesn't help that I stack a bazillion things on top of it when I go to show you this, but see, this is completely ripped out, and this is actually the better side too. Right here is all dented in. There's a piece under there that's all messed up. On the other side, it's kind of the same thing. In the back corner, it's ripped out, but as you can see, like, we had to put some reinforcement in here, if you guys remember that video. And then this thing's all messed up. Having a hard time. The piece that it attaches to over here is all crushed in as well. So I have a sheet. That sheet over there, it's not in the best shape in the world, but it is because it's got a kind of an angle cut in it. I don't know if you can see it from over here. It's got an angle cut, short over here, tall in the back, cut in it, and at the shortest point it's 58 inches. So it's 48 by 58, so it's a 4-foot sheet, right? And I'm measuring out this, and it's just barely long enough to do the back deck pieces. It is not long enough to do the front pieces. The front pieces are 60 something inches. 60, I think it's just 60 inches. Let me pull this bad boy out here. So guesstimation 60 inches. That's right. So I mean, I might have enough on the long end to replace this piece, because it needs lots of help too. We'll just kind of see what we can get done, and when I get ready to do that stuff, I'll explain to you kind of what I did here. I used to do a different style of mounting on this outer deck here, and then I wanted to try this, and I'll show you those and tell you if I liked it, didn't like it, you know, all that other happy stuff when we get to that point. But I just got another update. They're all over Facebook if you're in my area, right? That I-80 is closed. It is still closed. When I shot that intro, that was this morning, when I needed to do, snow removal and stuff. And here it is, like 3 in the afternoon, still closed. And they're saying that it's probably going to stay closed all day today, and there's good odds that it'll be closed tomorrow, because we're supposed to get more snow tonight and possibly more snow tomorrow. So I mean, we're getting lots of snow. But we're gonna see what we can do. All right, so got this one top deck panel off here. Whoop. And I'm gonna flip it over for you. And you'll notice that only one side is a 90, or was a 90. That thing's pretty messed up. And then this other side is just flat. So get a profile view of it. Flat over here, 90 right there. That's not how I used to do it. You can see that the piece that it attached to has a 90 on this side, right? And it also has that on the other side where it mounts in there. And if we come underneath, I think you can see it. It's got a little lip, and then you screw through these little lips to mount them together. It mounts nice and solid. It makes for a nice and solid seam. The only thing that I was finding was when I'd get into a wreck, or somebody take this out, or I hit the wall, or whatever, when I was taking damage on this corner, because of the way that was, first off, I used to make this one big piece, and I found that it was getting ridiculous replacing from here all the way out to here every time something happened. And that went for this front piece as well up here. So that's why this is 2 pieces. By splitting that and bending more material, I was able to make this piece here last longer and use up less material when I had to replace stuff. I found I was only replacing this much of that part of the deck than this much of that part of the deck. And I went to mounting to the top here because it seemed like, and this is just my opinion, but it seemed like every time something happened over here, it would pop the pop rivets out that were facing down here. As long as you used an aluminum rivet that was, I used the exploding aluminum rivet, so they would break away. They would break away and pop away from this panel, and this panel was staying in really, really good shape. This panel actually stayed in very good shape until I completely clobbered the wall the one time. I just demolished all of this. So there was no saving that stuff at that point. But until I did that, anytime people were getting into my fenders, or the basic rough and tumble from racing and stuff, it's something like this piece was taking most of the damage. It was really easy to like stamp this thing flat most of the time, because I only had to worry about making one edge work. When you have 2 of them, sometimes like this one gets bent this way, and this one gets bent this way, and it kind of becomes a cumbersome piece to patch back together to put back on your car. So I went to this style. I think it did me really, really well, actually, because heck, this piece has been on the car for 90 something races. Like it's got a lot of races on it before I finally had to, it's time to replace you. This end being all rolled over, it's already been reinforced. It's pretty ripped out. I pretty much go as long as I can with pretty much all of my body panels, but I think it's time. So don't think I'm throwing this away. That is definitely not the case. Most likely what'll happen is it'll get shoved over into my little pile where I keep old stuff, and that's where most of my little braces and like this piece, you know, that we use to patch stuff up later come from, because they're, you know, they have bends in them, they're nice and stout, they help support and put some stuff together. So this was just a little something that I tried for. I think it's working out pretty well for me. The other benefit, if you make when you do your body, if you make this piece the exact same width as the one on the other side, in doing it this way, it's interchangeable, right? Like you can put it on the left or you can put it on the right. It really don't matter. You just turn it, right? So you can keep one piece in your trailer to replace any massive carnage. If you're one of them guys that are out racing all the time, and you don't get back to your shop often, you can bend 2, 3, 4 of these, whatever, and put them in the trailer and just have them. You don't have to stack a whole bunch of different sized pieces or whatever on each side, as long as, you know, these outer pieces are all that's getting messed up, if you can make them the same length. So I think in the future I will, like if I make spares, I didn't have enough to make spares at the time when I did this body originally. I would make them this, like I said this earlier, this one's a little bit longer, so I'd make them all to this longer length here, and make it to where I can trim it down later if that's what I need to do. But so that's going to be the goal. First things first here, I'm going to steal back all my little clips here, these bolt-ons. These are those Clevco clips. I love those. Go back to my video when I first went to this. I've made the decision that I absolutely love these things, and I will continue to use them everywhere strategically. I think that they should be used, right? They held great. Unless I think that part needs to be able to break away, kind of like I was talking about the top deck area here, right? I want that to be able to break away so it keeps the rest of the aluminum in good shape. But like body panel to it, and all of my little attachments to the inside, it just made it so much easier and so much faster to take a body panel on and off. And I found that I went through like half, if not even less, the POF rivets that I normally do. I normally go through like boxes and boxes and boxes. Every time I order parts, I feel like I'm ordering another box of POF rivets. I think I ordered maybe 1 box of POF rivets all year this year. And it's not because I didn't tear stuff up. It's just when you're using bolts and those clips and stuff, it's nice. They just come off and go back on. You're not drilling them out. So I think they're totally worth it. You guys should look into those. If you got any other questions about them, let me know. But definitely these little clips. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull off. A couple more panels here, and I will start hopefully trying to bend some, mark some stuff out and get something bent, and go from there. So okay, so for this, got my sheet pulled out. I'm gonna try to cut and do one piece. I'm starting to lose light already, but basically it's a 8-inch piece, and then for the downside here, I'm going to add an inch, so that's 9, and then I got a hem on each side here. That's I usually do 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch, pending. Like I think, let me look. I think this side here, my flat side is. Yeah, my flat side's 1/2 inch, This one down here is 3/4 of an inch. So I'll add that to it. So 9, 10 1/4. So I at least need a piece that's 10 1/4. You can make the hems a little bit wider on here if you want. You don't necessarily need to. But that gives this side, these pieces, a lot more rigidity if you do a hem and then do a, right, you do a hem right here and then you do the bend. This gives it a lot more strength to that piece. So I'm gonna try to get a piece cut, and like I said, I'm losing light, so hopefully I'll be able to go out there and at least get one piece bent. Nothing super fancy, so the other piece of that is I need to lay that down on a table, get it marked out, cut out, and all that happy stuff. So but that's how I get my measurements for my pieces, and now I'm gonna have at it. So this is actually the factory edge here. So I measured from here up. You can see my little scribe mark. All I did was a pen to scribe in there, down and across, and then all I'm going to do is square off this edge. This is actually 58 inches to here, so all I'm going to do is square that off. The original piece currently measures out at 57, but I think I want that little bit of extra. I think if I remember correctly, I wanted it to be just a little bit longer. If not, I can always trim it off. So what I'm going to do is take my fancy dancy tinge snips here. I'm going to cut this out, and go from there. Okay, got my piece cut out. You can tell this isn't the greatest piece of aluminum, and that's not the greatest edge, but that's kind of why we put the little hems and stuff in it. We'll see it get cleaned up. Now normally what I would do, first off, I would protect whatever I was considering my outside A surface, as we would call it in the biz, the most cosmetic surface. I would be protecting that as much as I possibly could, but I'm not really concerned about that now, seeing how this is just kind of like a temporary panel for me until I actually bust out an entire body, hopefully here in the next couple months or so. And if no damage happens to this, it'll go in the trailer as a spare. So but I got my rectangle cut out. So now what I'm going to do, normally I would peel off plastic, peel the plastic back in the areas where bends are going to be. That way that plastic doesn't get trapped in between the bend. But I'm not really concerned about that right now. Plus, I don't know if you can tell, I'm losing my light. It's cold. It's still slightly snowing. And of course I'm outside doing this. So I'm just kind of trying to get this bent. So what I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put that 1/2 inch hem on the side that's all kind of, messed up or whatever, but all of my measurements are going to go off of the factory edge here. So what I'll do is I'll measure 3/4 of an inch and then add an inch, and then I'll measure all the way out to where it's a 1/2 inch from the end, or whatever's left over. Get that folded over, and once that's folded over, this panel will basically be done. So let me get my markings. Really, you only need markings on this end and that end. You can put one in the center if you want for reference, but that's, you don't have to do that. So just be wary of where you're putting your marks, and which direction you're going to bend, which direction your bender actually bends. So a good example, if I am taking this piece here and I'm wanting to put a bend here, if I put my mark on this side and I shove it into the bender, sorry, I've actually never used this bender before. This is This is borrowed. So let me get this thing shoved in. Okay, so there, right? So facing up, we'll be able to line this up to where it needs to go for the bend. And then of course we start the bend, we do the bend. That's fantastic. There it is. We now have a bent piece of metal. Let me pop this out. So now we have a bent piece of metal, right? And this is just a really junky, like it was way close up. I would use this bender or use this clamp to probably flatten it, but let's just say it got flattened. So now I have that nice little edge I'm talking about, that first seam that I'm talking about. And then I needed to make a 90-degree bend, like right here. Then my mark would be here. So putting a bend mark here allows me to fold it over. Putting another bend mark here allows me to put the up end up, but that makes this whole surface right here the bottom, right? So make sure that you're thinking about that with your bender. Lots of benders, most benders are, I don't know, I think they bend like this, where they bend upwards. But if you're dealing with some other type of bender, make sure you're keeping in the forefront of your mind which side is your A surface, or your show surface, or your finished surface, whatever you want to call it. And you're protecting that side, and you're also bending your bends in the correct direction, right? So just stop, think about it for a second. So that's what I'm gonna do. Put my 3 marks, boom, boom, boom. Then I'm gonna shove it in and do my little bends. That didn't work out well. I don't think this bender's gonna let me do that small of a bend, so I might have to put a little bit more through here. It's okay. We overcome and adapt. I just learned something very important about this brake. It won't do that small of a hem. So, overcome and adapt. Here we go. So you're gonna be able to see my bend did not go well. See, nice and big up there, and then it really small over here. The sheet metal slid. I don't know if it's because this table is icy. I don't know if this thing just has a problem clamping, or like I said, if there's just a bunch of ice under there not letting it clamp. But the good news is this is the side of the hem that I don't care about, really, right? That's the open-ended side. That's the side that's flat. It doesn't have to be perfectly square. So as long as I can lock this piece into place. You might have saw that I used this to keep it from moving. I moved it way down here so that it was underneath the clamp, which moved it away from the clamps over there. So I think what I'm going to do is this next time I'll move the piece to where I can clamp it to on both ends of the table. Hopefully that'll help keep the material from moving on this brake. That normally doesn't happen. So yeah, first time I'm using this brake, so you're learning with me. I'm used to a different one, so I'll just keep plugging away here, and we'll see if we can get this thing finished up. Dang. Normally you're able to shove it under there and pinch it down, and that'll create that nice seam for you, but I'm having a hard time getting those in there to do that, so I'm gonna lay it over a little bit with a hammer and then shove it in there to try to get that final press for grease. Alright, so not perfect. It's a little rounder than I like to see it. Like I said, we messed up the length. You can see how short it is there versus there. It slid. So what I'm going to do to make this just a little bit more prominent is I'm just going to go back with the hammer. Again, I'm not really worried about how it looks. But you can see that flatten that piece out a lot right there, right? Like just adding a seam. So but now I got to make sure that I do the other side really well. Dang, that kind of stinks, but I'm gonna finish up this seam. I'm hoping that with the extra clamps I'll be able to get a good edge on this side, and though it'll be kind of like a weird little, it'll be a little bit fatter on one end than it is on the other end. That's okay with these pieces. Not that big a deal because it lays on top of the inner piece. So, but when we go to do the inner piece, we'll have to make sure that it's ready to rock and roll. That's kind of why I started with these. Gives me a little room for error. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap this end down, and then try to get the bend on the other side. Beat to fit, paint to match around here. Okay, so definitely not the results I exactly wanted, because the material slid on a couple of those bends there, but this is what we got. It looks pretty good. It's fairly straight. Let's see if I can get the whole thing in the shot here. You know, fairly straight. So this is the new one, right? This is the old one. A little beat up. Before, after, I set this across here, and mine is, you know, same length on this side. Down here, you'd be able to tell that it would be slightly off, but that's okay. So this was a good piece to really try to learn what the brake would do. That way, when I go to do the other stuff, I now have a really good idea. This one has a little bit more of a rounded corner, a rounded bend that I'm used to, but that's okay. I think, you know, this stuff is going to be just fine. I got my nice 1 inch. Let me actually grab my measuring tape. So, across the lip here, it's turned out to be 1 3/8 inches. That's not terrible. On the other side, turned out to be 1 3/8 inches. So, I mean, at least that was consistent. It was only supposed to be 1 inch, so I I don't know what happened there. But across the top, you know, edge to edge, I have 8 inches and 1/8 there, and I have 7.5 inches down here. So, like I said, not quite what I wanted. Material moving around and whatnot, but that's okay. We'll still be able to use this, no problem, because the overlap, you can see where stuff was being drilled into it here, and I got plenty there for what got messed up, so it's still going to be usable. I did not come up with this idea to do those outside panels and stuff like this. This was something that was suggested to me by another driver, and I tried it, and I seem to like it so far. I haven't found a reason not to like it like that. It's one less bend in your manufacturing process, I guess, and you use just slightly less material. But I mean, if you do it right, you use slightly less material. But that's how I'm doing my deck panels. I know it got dark. I think my issues with the bender probably had to do with ice buildup underneath it, on it, all around it. My feet and stuff were sliding around like crazy. I kept knocking chunks of ice out of it when I put material in, put material through it. I know you guys didn't have the greatest light in the world, but I am moving forward with getting this stuff done. I'm gonna be done for tonight, but I still have this week. Now that I've kind of done that, I got a couple more panels to make to be able to put the car back together. But I'm gonna keep rocking and rolling with this throughout the week, and that was way easier. That was way easier than doing it with like 2x4s and a hammer and trying to make all of those bends by hand. That's a real pain. So even with a brake that I was having struggles with, whether it would be because of, you know, it being outside and getting ice, or I just didn't know how to use the dang thing properly, or, you know, whatever, that was still way easier than doing all of those manual bends by hand. So anyways, don't forget, we still got the giveaway, 2 shirts. That's gonna be drawing is gonna be on December 30th. Make sure you're subscribed by December 30th midnight my time, which is West Coast time, right? And we'll be giving away 2 lucky people will get a shirt, and another person will get a shirt and a jar of Bristol dirt. Go check out my last video if you want to see that. And then we'll announce that on the video that gets posted. I believe that's January 4th. But I'll announce the winner hopefully when I get to go race Stockton. That's all going to be dependent on weather. I don't know if you can tell behind me, but it's still snowing and everything's freezing over like crazy. So fingers crossed that we'll be able to get to go race. I'm going to continue to prep the car like we are, because a couple weeks after that there's the Las Vegas race anyway. So, and I know they don't get snow, but like once every 10 years, and it's just kind of like a weird white substance that falls from the sky and doesn't stick to anything. So but anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions, comments, concerns, down below. I know I'm going to be doing some more of this, so if you'd like to see some more stuff in detail on what I'm actually doing and that happy stuff, just let me know. I can always go more into detail. I feel like a lot of you guys just kind of want an overview of how I'm doing stuff, unless it's something extremely technical. Then you guys really want me to dig in, but just let me know. I'd be more than happy to get more technical, especially since I got more to bend. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, update. So I mean, I literally just finished filming the closing and stuff, and was doing my video editing, and I got a message from another racer friend. Thank you, by the way, Cody, for shooting that message my way. That Stockton announced that they are postponed. So it looks like we will not be racing at the Stockton dirt track on New Year's Day. They are postponed, I believe it said, until February sometime. There are floods all throughout their pits and on their track, and I guess they're getting a whole bunch of rain down there. We're getting it all in snow up here. So dang, that kind of stinks. I don't oh well. I guess it's time to try to figure out where else I can go, if there is a possibility to go somewhere. I did see in a comment in one of my other videos that Antioch was racing, but again, that is up and over the hill. I will have to look more into that. I didn't find any information on their website or anything, but who knows? So I guess I'm looking for another race. I'm still gonna, you know, try to get myself done and prepped and ready to go. The earlier you do all that stuff, the better anyways, right? So I'm gonna keep going like I am gonna be racing, but Stockton dirt track is postponed, so we're not gonna be racing there. Dang. All right, see you next video.